Hey guys, we're on day 8 now. Wanted to discuss a few things. Yesterday I was talking about burnout quite a bit, out in a storm. Felt really unwell yesterday and pushed on anyway. Got some lovely messages from some lovely people supporting me to either take it easy, put in less effort. Maybe a video a week would be better, would suit me better, rather than a video a day. And other people were like, you can do it, keep going, video a day, I believe in you. And it's nice to see both sides of support. The first thing I want to cover today is having important conversations or difficult conversations. Today I had a conversation with, it's kind of like a business meeting, and I was really nervous. Not as nervous as I would have been in the past. I wouldn't have been able to sleep before. Would have been thinking about it too much, and the anxiety I'd feel in my body would ruin the whole experience. Something I learned in college, or as I was going into college, some advice that was given to me by my therapist was to announce it, to say you're nervous. And most people warm to you when you show vulnerability like that. And then other people, the advice they gave me is that it's important to flip it on its head. That anxiety is just another form of excitement. Not too sure if I agree with that, but sometimes it helps. If you can be like, oh, maybe this isn't anxiety, maybe it's excitement, and try and reframe it for yourself. Stopped recording there because there's some people walking towards me and I'm shy and nervous and I don't want to be judged. So I'm really proud of myself for how I held myself during the conversation. So it's quite a big company, and I give them some support in their podcasting and a little bit of social media management from time to time. And not sure, was I being interviewed, or I don't know, Angela seemed to think that they were sussing me out. But I think it was just because we were planning for the next season of the podcast and they wanted some insight into what I thought the best way to approach things was. And the other part of difficult conversations that I wanted to talk about was with a friend or a loved one. It's very difficult, no? It's very, very difficult when there's things that need to be said, or things that go left unsaid for too long, or it's things that are kind of maybe passed down through generations that aren't actually our own. It isn't our own stuff. It might be our parents' stuff or our grandparents' stuff, and we carry it as though it's our own. And it's really important to be able to distinguish between what's actually mine and what's theirs. But it's also really important to stand up for yourself, to say it if necessary, if it's going to make any difference, you know. But it's also really important to be able to distinguish between if it's going to make a difference or if it's not going to make any difference. If it's just going to hurt the other person, or it's going to hurt you by holding on to it. So yeah, this is a bit of a message to anyone who is avoiding a conversation or feels that they have things that they need to say to someone. To do it. Or to just actually let go. And to forget about it for yourself, or for them, or for both of you. Sometimes forgiving isn't necessary. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you have to really work to be able to forgive someone. Maybe sometimes people make it really fucking hard to do that. I had another conversation with a good friend today about some struggles he was going through, some really deep suffering. And a lot of the things he was mentioning really mirrored different experiences I'd had in my life with kind of falling off the wagon, going really well for ages, doing really well in yourself, and then maybe going back and leaning on substances for a while and losing your shit. Maybe going into psychosis, maybe, yeah, going into a bit of a dream world for a while, not really living in reality, being internalizing everything and not being okay. And some of the things I said to him was about how when we come out of these things, when we start to get our feet back on the ground, to not go too hard and run too hard in the other direction. Because I really believe that that's the thing that led to it in the first place, burnout, which is what we were talking about quite a bit yesterday. Sorry, I got distracted there. There was a big dog and I wasn't sure was it going to start barking at me. So what I was trying to say was, when we fall off the wagon and maybe go back into party mode or substance abuse or bad mental health, being disassociated, or like I said, it could be psychosis, full-blown psychosis, or being in a bit of a dream world. Usually we tend to come out of it, after a while, and when we do, we're like, okay, now I need to sort my life out and hit the ground running and go really hard into loads of health practices, meditating too much, cold water therapy, gymming, saunas, praying. It could be a lot, you can really go a lot in the other direction, working too hard, exercising too hard, not sleeping enough. And I think ultimately what it leads to is the cycle repeating. That after going around inside of this over a long period of time, you ultimately go back to, you could call it relapse, you could call it whatever you want. But it's really, it's important. I just really feel that where I'm at now in my life, I'm just trying to recognize that where I'm at in myself, that things are good, and to not accelerate too hard. And hopefully I'll be able to manage actually staying balanced and level-headed by not running too hard in the other direction. Today I'm walking back out the Bia Birthday. I think that's what it's called. Angela will tell me later, I'm sure. It's a big long straight road out to other towns. It's beautiful. Today I'm walking in the evening because I had a big day of work, working on track for a client, trying to get it over the finish line. And yeah, finishing music is something very interesting. Spoke about it yesterday and the day before. I love the quote, "Art is never finished, only abandoned." And that's why for a long time I would have relied on the opinions of others, to the seal of approval of others, of a label, of some good friends, to tell me when it was finished or when it was ready to go out. But just because you upload something and start advertising it doesn't mean you can't take it down. No one's going to give a shit. No one's going to fucking know. There's many different versions of tracks out there, especially when people use generative VSTs or generative instruments. Like every time that you press play, it's going to be slightly different. So people end up releasing the track once or testing it on the dance floor, or, and then later down the line they end up changing the kick, and then because the kick is different, because they exported it again, there's going to be slight differences, So I think it's good to just let things go, put them out into the world, see how people respond, see how you respond to people's responses. And maybe down the line you might change it. You might add some more instruments, might do a VIP, might just take it down, delete it forever. I'm going to try and make these shorter, more interesting, more edits, more B-roll. How I'm going to do that, I'm not exactly sure yet. I've tried to do some writing, I've tried to do some more recording of B-roll, this kind of thing. But there's so many hours in the day. There's only so many things I can do. And trying to do a video every day on top of my life is definitely proving to be difficult. So I think shorter rants, more B-roll, better editing is the direction I'm hoping to go. But it's quite difficult to try and find something valuable to discuss. Been inspired to read again, try and upgrade my vocabulary. Been listening to more podcasts to try and get inspired for some philosophical things to discuss. And definitely become a form of procrastination for me. This is definitely getting in the way of me making music for like sound design for the sample pack. Because I only have so much creative energy in the day, and that's all spent for the work of my client. And then when I'm trying to put some hours into making samples and stuff, it's thinking more about the next video or where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. So if anyone has any advice for me on how to approach this differently, or how I can do it better, or I definitely feel like I can't decide. I can't decide if I should be doing more, like doing it often every day, or should I just do it less and do better videos. I don't know, I started a week ago. This is day 8 and nearly hit 50 subscribers. And I think 2 of the videos have over 100 views. Now I've been absolutely spamming, spamming half the internet, trying to just get people to click it, like it, thumbs up, this kind of thing. Some people are not very happy with that, but some people are very happy with that. Some people, I must say, like, especially with me kind of showing a lot of vulnerability in yesterday's episode, and a lot of people have reached out and been very positive in relation to that, you know. It's mad how much people really love to see vulnerability, you know. People love to see it. I think it just makes things relatable. It makes it something that I think people can kind of get into. I really want to know how people manage themselves in these types of situations where they move from like overactivity to burnout. How do you take your foot off the accelerator and slow down so that you can, I suppose, stay more consistent rather than doing fucking shitloads and then feeling like shit and burning out and crashing and burning. People related a lot to kind of like the being a creator, that like when you're into creativity or you're an artist, that it's like really difficult to manage your life. That somehow it's just part of the way you are, that things aren't routine based, that that you don't like work on a schedule, this kind of stuff. And I've always tried to go against that, because I really struggle with maintaining routine and consistency and balance and this kind of stuff. So I really love to know if you're someone who feels like they can be a bit of an overachiever, or someone who just really tries really hard at something and then gives up. So I'm going to keep this one short today. I'm going to film some drone footage and I'm going to head back home. Feeling tired and hungry, and I've went over a few points. If there's anything you guys would like me to cover, any discussions you'd like to have with me, or any things you'd like to hear my opinion on, feel free to comment them below, or reach out in a private message, or call me. I'm sure most of the people who are actually listening or getting this far are just people who know me. And like always, please give me feedback. Tell me what I'm doing right, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what you hate, tell me what you love. And yeah, look after yourselves, guys.